Hi all. Right, moving on with RAF. I did hope to have reviewed that first part and chucked it out there, but I'm uploading it just now, but I've not had a chance to have a look yet, so I like to kind of see what I've done. But I've got a bit more time here, so I figured I might start just recording the first raid or two and see how we get on. Yeah, because this is the more interesting stuff coming up now. Okay, so we're looking at card number 9, Stick of Joe's sequence of play cards. And it says, choose a target card from the current time segment. This is the raid to be executed. Now, we only have one card in that time segment, 60600. However, if we had more than one, and you can have up to a maximum of 3, I could pick any one of the 3. It doesn't have to be the one that's first in line. So anyway, so we're going to be picking that card in the 6 o'clock slot, and then the card says place grouping in the raid display as follows: bombers to the bomber box, ME-110s to close escort box if at least one grouping in the bomber box or to the bomber box, and then ME-109s to the channel patrol as follows. And then it's the same as what it shows you actually on the box, that if you've got 0 to 1 bombers in your raid, you don't need any ME-109s channel patrol. 2 or 3 you need 1, 4 to 6 you need 2, and 7+ you need 3. Then it says if raid target is beyond the ME-109 range or ME-109 group into channel patrol. Well, that's not the case, and again I think these don't come into later, these raid cards. Remaining ME-109s to the hunt box, close escort box if there is at least one grouping in the bomber box, or to the bomber box. Okay, and that's something I never considered before. To be honest, I think I was just putting all my extra ME-109s in the hunt box because I suppose if you think there's not going to be any response from any British squadrons, then you might consider placing them maybe in the bomber box or the coast escort box, but it's more likely something's going to appear, so you want to be able to try and stop them from getting at your bombers. Okay, so I'll get the card down with all the units on it and we'll put them in the raid display. What does it call it? A raid display box. Right, okay. Which is here. Zoom out a little bit. There we go. Right, I'm just going to get this stuff down. Right, so I should be able to place the card here. I thought about the other way about at first, but I don't think it matters. This is covering up the sequence of play, which we're using these cards for anyway. This does cover up the map key, but not really sure you need that. So we've got 2 Heinkels in the bomber box and 2 Dorniers. So they go in the bomber box. Now, for our ME-109s, there's 4 bombers. So we need 2 ME-109s in the channel patrol box. I don't know if it matters about where they go regarding the letters. I don't think that does matter. So we've got 2 of them in there. And then, now we also need to have half of what amount of bombers in the close escort. Now, ME-110s cannot go in the hunt box. I think that's right, isn't it? I don't think they can go in the hunt box. They can only go in the close escort box or the bomber box. So I'm going to put, we need to put 2 of them in here because of that. Because of that advanced rule. Close escort minimum. Give me a sec. Yeah, I was just going to look again about where the ME-110s can go, but Joe's got it on the card here. So ME-110s to close escort box if at least one group in bomber box, or to bomber box. So I've put 2 of the 3 in there because we have to, because of that advanced rule. But I've got that extra 1, and wondering, I'm not really sure about the benefit to maybe just putting that in the bomber box. And we can't put it in the hunt box, like I say. So I'm just going to put it in the close escort box as well. So we've got 3. And I didn't say I was restricted, did it? You must assign a number at least equal to half. Yeah, so at least we could go over, as we've done. And then the rest of the ME-109s could go hunt box, close escort box, or bomber box. But I'm putting them in the hunt box. So this is pretty big raid. Let's see, I think we've got 2 that are up to our maximum. So we should have, what was it, 14 maximum, wasn't it? 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, yeah. Okay, so, and I'll just leave this card here. So, well, yeah, that's us laid out the units that we've into the raid display. So we're done with that card. So on to card number 10, right. So this is now when the British try and detect us, and we roll and see what their warning level and intelligence level is going to be. So as you can see, it says roll a die, apply modifiers, and consult the detection track to determine warning and intelligence levels for this raid. If intelligence level is poor, determine if the British consider it as a major or minor raid. I never ever had to do that, so I must have never got a poor result. And then if 6 or more grouping, right, that's still part of the check. So that's only the rest of that. What that says is it's only if it's level, if it's poor. However, it does say if no warning result, which is yeah, there's one box on the chart on the detection track. There's one box that says none as a warning. So if you got a no warning result, move ME-109s on a channel patrol to close escort box, irrespective of ME-109 range. Well, I never had to do that either. I never ever got that result. That's the lowest die roll you can get. So, okay, so I just need to double check that there's nothing involved with the advanced rules come this part. British detection. There's something that rings a bell. Yeah, I don't think there's anything leading up to this. The only thing that is relevant, 19.6, this rule is enhancements to RAF Squadron Response. And 19.63 is titled RAF Ace Squadron. And it says, if the raid detection result is accurate intelligence or very early warning, add the Ace Spitfire Squadron from the countermix to the response pool in Step A of British raid response. This is in addition to all other squadrons taken for the pool. If the Ace Squadron is then drawn from the pool to respond to the raid, it is returned to the countermax after participating instead of being placed in the in-flight light loss or heavy loss box. VPs are subtracted if the Ace Squadron suffers loss, but replacement points and experienced pilot points are not expended. It says, unlike RAF Lion and 2-player, the Ace Squadron and Eagle has no special combat abilities. Okay, so that is something, if we get accurate intelligence or a very early warning, then we need to react to that, obviously. So I think that's everything regarding that. So let's just get a dice rolled and start working out what their detection level is going to be. Right, I'll just get started with it. Dice roller here, and low is better for us here. So we start with a 2. Okay, so we start with a 2, but this could get modified quite a lot. So I've got a D20 there. Now it says there that, let's shift that a bit. It says that warning determines sectors eligible to respond, and intelligence affects RAF response priorities and tactics. I know there's some shadow in there, but I can't really do a thought about that. Let's see, if it If I was a pro, the lights would be up higher and whatever, but I'm not. So. Right, so we've got a 2 to start with, and then we look at these modifiers. So add the target card's observer core value, that's that OCV that's on the card for the current weather, and they're marked clear, patchy and broken. So can I grab that from there? Maybe just, yeah. Okay, so there's the card, and its OCV is 4, 3 and 3. So it would be 4 if it was clear, 3 if it was patchy, and 3 if it was broken. And this is Luftflotte 2. Well, in fact, all the raids are Luftflotte 2, aren't they? So we're all going to have broken clouds for all our raids. So broken clouds on that is going to be the third value, which is a 3. So that knocks us up to a 5. Right, and then what else we got? The next one, each undamaged radar net listed on the target card is a +2. So again, jumping down to the card. I just wonder if I could have... That's fine, that's fine. I could have probably moved the card up. That's fine. So the radar nets that are used for this airfield are 6 and 7. Well, I've not done any damage to them. So that's a +2 for both of them. So another +4 takes us up to 9. There we go. And then the next part is all grouping are ME109s. Well, that's not true. If 3 or more radar nets are damaged, apply no modifiers for radar nets. Well, that's not true as well. And then the big one here is going to bump it up quite a bit again. So it says modify for number of grouping in the raid. So we have, what did they say, 14 in total. This is all just the whole lot of grouping. There is one you've got to watch, but it doesn't count certain. I think that's part of the response, but it only counts. Anyway, we'll get to that. So we had 14, didn't we? So 14 plus grouping is +5. So another 5 onto that 9 is a total of 14. That's everything. So this detection goes up to 14. So our warning is sufficient and our intelligence is accurate. So that's, yeah, accurate's pretty bad for us. Sufficient, I would say, is probably not so bad. I think when it gets to early is worse. Right, okay, so now we do have accurate intelligence there though. So that's 19.63. It says if the raid detection result is accurate, add the A Spitfire squadron from the countermass to the response pool in step A of the British raid response. So I'm going to grab this guy out of... what is it? Spitfire race. There's a Hurricane in here as well. Yeah, it is Spitfire race. So obviously, so this guy is going to come into the pool, but I'll show you that shortly. So I'll just set him aside just now, and we'll move on to the next card, I believe. That's that all done. Yeah, that's card number 10. So now on to card number 11, still in the raid phase. So raid rendezvous check, right? This is kind of bad. This is maybe where we might either lose some our grouping or get them reduced. So we're rolling this chart here, and it's just a 1 to 6. So get a dice roll first, Grant. Yeah, there's a lot of dice roll. I'm not really sure if I could be doing these off camera to make things easier, but we don't know what that is. That's the one thing bad about this dice. I could do a flatter one, couldn't I? Right, 2. So I think no, actually that's not really the case. The lower's not good, not necessarily good here. So anyway, we'll see what it is. As you can see, a 6 there would be 15 or more grouping or in the raid. Well, we've got 14 or grouping, so that wouldn't apply. So a 6 would have been a good result. 2 is 3 raids were planned for the current time segment. Well, that's good, because we've only got 1 raid planned for this time segment of 0600. So that doesn't apply. We don't need to re-roll, because if it fails, we would need to re-roll, and you can see some of our grouping would be reduced, and some of them may even leave the raid. So we got away with that one. That's good. Right, step number 12 is British raid response. So so this is where we create the pool of squadrons that might respond. So we refer to the eligible sectors chart on the target card. We'll just zoom out a little bit there. So we're looking at this chart here. Now this tells us our warning level, and our warning was sufficient. So we've got none, late, sufficient, and early, and the early also counts for very early as well if we happen to have had that result. But we've got sufficient, so you can see there's a 2 in the first box and a 2 in the second box. So that means we're looking for 2 squadrons from 511, 2 squadrons from 611, and then the next box down, 2 squadrons from 311, 411, and 2 squadrons from London. I've not seen any squadrons in London before. I don't know if that happens later or if it could just be part of the line game, but I've not seen any units that appear in London. So, however, okay, so we now create a wee pool. So can we do this? I've got a wee cup here, so we'll just look over. Oops. Zoom out there. Get the wrong thing. Right, so we're looking at all our squadrons here. I'll not swing back to the card, I'll just read it from the card. So we've got 2 from 511. So sector 511 is here. And you can see there's 3 aircraft in there, but this one's a Blenheim, so we're not using him. So we want 2 from there, so there's no choice, you just take them both, and I'm just putting them in this cup, whatever you call it, just now. So that's 2 from 511, then we get 2 from 611, and now 611 is just, it's the next one along. Now we've got 3 to choose from here, so it says that you would choose the one that has the most of, but we've got 3 Spitfires there, so there's no really a decision to make either. I did think at first about trying to randomise which letters we should be picking, because we've got a choice of A, B or C there, but I don't know, should I? I'm not going to show that on camera anyway. Right, okay, I've done a quick randomisation and then ended up with the A and the C, okay? But, if for instance there'd been 2 Bs there and a C, I would have took the B and the C, Okay, so that's 2 from 6. Then we need 2 from 311. And 311's here, it's only got 1 unit, so it gets chucked in. And then 2 from 411, which is further up there, up here. And this time it's 3 Hurricanes, so I'll quickly do a wee randomisation. Okay, so we get the A and the C this time. And then there's nothing in London, like I say, and that is that. Okay. And sorry, just to go through there's no point using these cards if you're not going to actually use them. I find myself skipping by, like I said, because once you get in the swing of this, once you know what you're doing, it's pretty straightforward. So your selection priority is per eligible sector, pick more plentiful squadron type, and then pick a Spitfire if equal number of types. So obviously if you've got 2 Hurricanes and a Spitfire and you need to pick 2 units, you would pick a Hurricane first because there's 2 of them instead of the 1 Spitfire. And then between the Spitfire and the Hurricane, you would pick a Spitfire because it's slightly better. And then we roll a die on the raid response chart to find the response priority, which is either going to be minimal, low, high, or all out. And that'll also tell us the number of squadrons to be randomly removed from the pool. And then we deploy the remaining squadrons as indicated in the response tactics charts. Now there is a chance that they will respond with none then, so if no squadrons are eligible to take in, there's no response, and then we skip forward to the last bullet of step 13, which is Hunter Interception. Okay, so let's get this raid response thing. So this is one of the charts across by here. Okay, so that's this chart of vehicles here. I'm stretching across here a bit, and this is where I don't know what would have been better. I started moving it back and then back again. Anyway, however, also we've got 7 units, 7 squadrons in the pool there. So I like to have another dice around. So we've got a 7 for that, but we do have to put this ace pilot in, this ace Spitfire, because of that advance rule. So that knocks us up to 8 squadrons, right? So now we've got to see how many of these are going to be removed. So we have 8, right? So see, this is a bit, if I put it like that, maybe I can see better now. Okay, so yeah, we're looking to modify this. No, we're looking to roll a dice first, Grant. So, and then we modify it. Right, let's roll the dice first. So we got a 4, and that 8 is the amount squadrons I've got in the pool, so let's not get confused with that one, but yeah, I'll keep that out of the way. So we've got a 4. Yeah, and then we're going to modify that 4 to something else. I say I'll keep that 8. You don't really need to see that, and when it comes to it, we'll work out what I'm doing with that. So what we've got is the date any of them options, and it's not. We're on August 11th, so none of these apply. None of these modifiers apply. As a target sector is in a living group. Well, yes, it is, and I'll just bring the card down there. You can see it's in airfield. It's in 511. And you tend to find that the majority of them are in a living group. That must be where the majority of stuff is. So we get a +1 to that, so that's a 5. Oops. Yeah, maybe don't need to be zoomed in that much, Grant. Right, so that's a 5, and then primary target is a radar net or an airfield. Well, as an airfield. Again, I'll show you. I won't be doing this every turn. So it's an airfield, so it gets a +2. So that's up to 7. Then target is deep. Well, no, I think, again, these are cards that come in later. I'll just show you the card again. It's beside the name of the target. It says inland there at the top right hand corner. So it's an inland target, so that doesn't come into it. Warning is very early. Well, we ended up with our warning being sufficient, so that doesn't count. And then this is the next 2. This is the one I messed up before. So intelligence is accurate and the raid has at least 1 bomber. Well, intelligence is accurate and we do have at least 1 bomber, so he gets a +2 for that, taking it to 9. And then, but we still need to look at this one. So intelligence is limited or accurate, which is accurate, and the raid has 12 or more grouping, which is what we've got. We've got 14 grouping. So again, that maxes that dice out to 12 then. And the next one's intelligence is poor and raid is major. Well, we're not poor. And then target, the last one is a minus. Target cards yet to be resolved in the same time segment. So that if we had another raid within the 0600 time segment, we would have a -1 for each of the additional raids. And mind, we could have had another 2 raids in that time segment, so that would have knocked down our -2. However, not the case. So our modified die rolls are 12. So then we come on here, and the squadrons in the response pool, well, that might have been a good place to put that 8, Grant. Although we've got a big shadow in the way, haven't we? This is going to be how it is. So we've got 8 squadrons in the response pool, so that's this row here, and we modified our die roll to a 12. So 12 is high, and we come down to 8 or 9, and we get a 3. So what that means is we randomly remove 3 from this pool, and they won't participate, and they'll just go back onto their sectors again. So these were the 3 I randomly removed. We actually got quite lucky and got the Spitfire Ace, so he gets chucked away, and he doesn't go back on the map or anything like that. And then, so we've got Hurricane for 411, which is up here. And then a Spitfire from 611. So he goes back in there. So these ones are not going to respond. And this is where the sort of random factor is. You know, you might have thought you were going to clear out these units from 611 maybe, and now they're not. So, yeah. So there's all obviously that random part that can mess things up. Right, and then we're still not finished, because there is another check to be made. This is to see if these are, now we've got 5 now in the pool, so I've altered that dice, so we've got 5 in the pool still. So we look down here again. I don't need that dice roll anymore, I don't think. So these charts depend on our intelligence. Well, our intelligence is accurate, and we have one or more bomber grouping in the bomber box. That's correct. So it's these charts that we use. There's an A chart and a B chart here. So use chart A first, it says, and then on a B result, you'd use chart B. So, squadrons in the pool, we have 5 now. And the number of grouping in the hunt box. So this is what it's looking at now. So it's just wanting to know how many grouping we've got in the hunt box. I'll just jump across there just to show you. There's our ME109s. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5 grouping in the hunt box, and they've got 5 squadrons. So my guess is they're all going to react and come and try and stop us. So yeah, we're using the 5+ squadrons and 5 grouping in the hunt box, and it says yes. And yes means all squadrons respond up to twice the number of grouping in the raid. Yeah, that's right. So if for some reason we only had 2 grouping in the pool right now, and they wanted to respond with 5, which I think, yeah, you could have got that result. So we only had 2 ME109s, and they were responding with 5. Well, it would only bring 4 along, and 1 would get left behind, because they only feel like they would need to double up on us. But I think that's only when you've got accurate intelligence. I don't think it halves it if the intelligence is different, or maybe when there's no bombers in the grouping. But it does say it there. It does say all squadrons respond up to twice the number of grouping in the raid. So, well, it kind of get twice the number because it would need 10, but so it means all the 5 units are going to respond. Okay, so we get all 5 of them out of the cup, and there's 1 Spitfire and 4 Hurricanes. Okay, so there we go. So, well, let's move back to the card. Let's just see if am I jumping ahead there again? Possibly. No, deploy the remaining squadrons as indicated in the response tactics chart. So we've done that. They all go into the hunt box. Yeah, that's right. They go there in the now, and then we check in the next step, I think. So we're finished with card 12. So let's move on to raid phase card 13. So this is Hunter and Interception. So this is determining if all the squadrons are intercepted, if some of them skip by, move into the bomber box, etc. So it says, in the hunt box, is there no grouping? Well, no, we've got 5 grouping, and there's 5 squadrons. So are they grouping less than squadrons? If that was the case, there's a die roll and the excess may then get to move straight to the bomber box. Well, that's not the case. Are they grouping greater than or equal to the amount of squadrons? That is the case. So all squadrons are intercepted and they remain in the hunt box. So they just stay where they are. If there happen to be no squadrons, which would be a good result for us. I mean, this doesn't look good. The only good is that they're using 5 of their squadrons, so they're coming off the map and they're going to get used depending on the die roll. It's more than likely going to end up worse for us because the numbers are going to be, yeah. Well, we shall see. If there happen to be no squadrons, like I say, we would move all grouping in the hunt box to the in-flight box and all grouping in the close escort box to the bomber box. So that result would be really good for us because we would get these 3 ME-110s down into the bomber box to join the bombing, which is then unopposed because there's not any squadrons. But however, that's not the case. So that's us moved. Well, we're not moving. All squadrons are intercepted and they remain in the hunt box. So that's card 13 finished with. Move on to card 14. So now we get an event. So a raid approach event. So right. I just want to just go back and have a glance at these advanced rules again, just in case. I think it would be nice. I mean, to be honest, Stuka Joe, he had comments on the bottom of the card, so I mean, he did. Back in card, where do we need to go back to? Yeah, I mean, back to card 5 there, he's got it marked down the bottom, so I'm hoping that, then again, hang on, nothing was mentioned about that RAF squadron, was it? Or was it? Maybe I shouldn't have jumped the gun there, hang on, let me have a look. No, I didn't see any mention of the A squadron bit on his cards anywhere. So whether he's put everything into that regarding all the advanced rules or not. So I'll need to try and keep an eye on that. There's another one that talks about response to hunt or sweep with a lone bomber. If a raid with just one bomber group has at least 5 fighter grouping, you would treat the raid as if no bomber grouping are in the bomber box. You know, I'm a bit feared that I might miss one of these. What it might be a good idea for me is to maybe look over these advanced rules. Unless somebody might have created I might have a look in BGG first, and maybe just note where I need to check for these things with the advanced rules, because the flow of the game's easy enough. It's just trying to add these little bits on. There's a hunter contact die roll. If the number of grouping in the hunt box outnumber the squadrons by more than 1 at the start of the hunter interception step. Well, that's the step we've just skipped by, actually, isn't it? So at the start of this step, let's just put that card back just a second. If the number of grouping in the hunt box outnumber squadrons by more than 1 at the start of the hunter interception step, roll the die. Well, that's not the case. We've got 5 against 5, so they don't, but we'll need to watch that one. It says roll the die. If the die result is less than the difference between the number of grouping and squadrons, move a number of grouping equal to the die result from the hunt box to the in-flight box. These hunters were unable to make contact with the squadrons. The normal hunter interception procedures occur after this die roll, if required. Well, that's kind of nasty then. So it gives you an example. If 3 squadrons and 7 grouping are in the hunt box, a die result of 1, 2 or 3 would result in 1, 2 or 3 hunters leaving the raid. A result of 4, 5 or 6 would have no effect. So yeah, that's kind of nasty. So we don't... Well, it's nice to be outnumbering them, but there's a downside to it with that advanced rule. Yeah, I can't see anything else. That one's before drawing the day card. The Jabos is starting September the 1st. Yeah, I'll need to keep an eye on that one. No, okay. I think we're okay. So I can move on to this raid approach event. So I'll just move that out of the way and we'll have a look at the raid approach event card. And right, so I'm going to draw a raid approach event. And as you can imagine, for all other Mr. Butterfield stuff, events are, are generally not so good for us. They generally do favour the AI, but there are some that are good and some that come at good times rather than others. But anyway, here we go. Okay, so we've got the approach event and then the target event. So at the moment we're only doing the approach event, so it's just this part here. You'll also see that it's got an L up the top, and that's for the line half of the game, and an E and a 2 is for the Eagle and the 2-player part of the game. So that's the bit that's that we are looking at just now. So heavy pursuit, and again also it has all these events explained a bit more in the back of the book, sort of last pages 28 and 29. But you can usually get enough information from the card. So it says move A and B grouping and A squadrons from the hunt box to the in-flight box. Oh dear. Right, and within the actual rule it says, explains it in a bit more detail. It says all grouping and squadrons with indicated selector letters in the hunt box leave the raid. Place them in the in-flight box. Affected squadrons are flipped to the reduced side. If already reduced, the squadron suffers white loss, place it in the sector's white loss box and subtract 1 victory point. In order for this event to apply, because I had it before this event and it didn't apply after reading this next bit. It says, in order for this event to apply at all, both nationalities must have at least one unit with the indicated selector letters in the hunt box. It says the ability to note following the clouds inhibit hunters event applies. If, as a result of this event, this is the ability note of clouds inhibit hunters, which is a different event. If, as a result of this event, no grouping are in the hunt box, move all squadrons from the hunt box to the bomber box, unless there are no grouping in the bomber box, in which case all squadrons move to the in-flight box. Right, that's starting to lose me there a bit. So, okay, let's just look at the card and see if we can work out. So, A and B grouping and A squadrons are just going to move to the in-flight box. Well, let's see. I'll zoom out a little bit there. Yeah, so it's only the stuff in the hunt box. And as you can see, A and B grouping, well, we've got 1, 2, 3, which is really bad. And they have 2 A's, don't they? Yeah, so it does mean that this is going to apply, because we do have some from each nationality. I think the time I got it before, it was like, it was only affecting squadrons. I was thinking, yeah, it's a result, and then I read that in the book, and I thought, right, okay, that's not. Now, it does say that affected squadrons are flipped to the reduced side. It doesn't talk about the grouping being reduced, so grouping and squadrons from hunt box to in-flight box. So, yeah, so we have 2A grouping and a B grouping going to the in-flight box, leaving us only 2 in the hunt box, and they get 2 of their A, but they get flipped, so that's better for us. That part of it's better for us. But now they've got 3 hunters left, squadrons left to our 2. So, not so good. Right, but that's that. That's us done with the raid approach event. And now we have the Hunter Attack step. So what we'd do here is add combat ratings of all grouping and squadrons in the hunt box. This is the total combat value. Then we find the column in the combat results table corresponding to the number of participating grouping. Locate the row with the total combat value and use row to resolve combat. Roll a die and apply combat results to indicate Germans and British units. Depending on the result, the combat result, grouping leave the raid or move to the coast escort box, and squadrons leave the raid or move to the bomber box. Right, okay, so how do we resolve that? Well, this is where we need to home in on this other table. So I'll move across here. So this is the chart we're going to use. Yeah, I thought about trying to have some kind of wee thing to point at. Well, I can just find the dice. I tend to find just rolling the dice first, just we'll get that out of the way. So, roll the dice first. Lower the better, I think, generally here for us. So 3 is sort of in between. So, we have a 3. Now, how many grouping are in the combat? Well, we've got 2 ME-109s. So, and then you've got no depletion, depletion 1 or depletion 2. Well, we are on no depletion, so we're looking at number of grouping is 2. So it's going to be this column here. And then what I didn't do is add up our strength, which we should have done. So the total strength is all the numbers on the right. The numbers on the left, which the squadrons don't have, but the grouping do, are their bombing value. So the bombing value for this unit's a 1. That's a 1. The numbers above are what Luftwaffe they're from. These are all from 2. You need to be careful of that. I know there's a white band on them as well, which states they're from Luftwaffe 2, but it's quite easy to miss that and end up putting them in the wrong place. But all our raids from Luftwaffe 2 anyway, so the only thing we've got out is one of the night raid units. Okay, so, and then the numbers on the right are what the combat values are for the combat results table. So you can see that there's 0 on the ME-109s, because the lower the number the better for us, and the higher the number the better for the British. So we've got 3, 6, 9, and then nothing else there. So the total combat value is 9. And, sorry. And then we've got this dice roll of 3. That shadow really annoys me. So 2, and then, right, so 2 is the number of groupings, so we're coming down to find the combat value of 9. So it's this row here. This is the row that we're looking at. And then the dice roll, so I'll put the dice there. Well, that's just going to block it all, isn't it? I'll put it over the other side then. Right, that'll sort of work. So, yeah, it was 9, wasn't it? 9 and 2, yeah. Yeah, so as this column here. So let me zoom in a bit more on that then. Let's see what we've got. Oops. Secure the camera again. Right, and like I say, you've got A, B, and C for the Germans, and then A, B, and C for the British. So we're looking at number 3. The dice rolls 1 to 6 down there, you see? So there's the dice roll of 3. So we've got D, A, and then A. So that's what we've got for us. So just come across here, and we're looking at this table here, which is units in the hunt box. That's where we're in just now. So all our A results, all our A selector units get a D result, which would be disrupt. And if they're full grouping, they just go to the in-flight box. If they're reduced grouping, they would just go to the in-flight box, but they would stay in the reduced state that way. It doesn't say to do anything different with them. So disrupt results for grouping just go to the in-flight box. And then what did I say? A and A. So B selector numbers are abort and C selector numbers are abort. If they're full grouping, they go to the in-flight box reduced. If they happen to be reduced grouping, they would go to the white loss box full side up, but it would be an additional 1 victory point. I mean, plus victory points are bad for us, so that would be a loss of a victory point for us, basically. So yeah, we've got D, A's and A's, so just let me jump across here again. Right, if you remember, all our A's and B's left the raid already, so we've only got C's left, and the result for a C was an abort, so it means that both of these ME-109s go to the in-flight box in the reduced side, so they both get flipped and into the in-flight box reduced. They go. Okay, so that leaves the 3 fighters. Now you can see that I've got one is a B selector and the 2 are C selectors, so we're looking for something nice in there maybe. So zooming in on 3, and we've got, oh yeah, well that was good, because there was no effect for an A result, and none of them are A's. So the B result is an A, and the C result is an L. So this could be good. So let's look in the hunt box again. So this is squadrons this time. So you've got full squadrons, reduced squadrons. Well, they're both full squadrons. So what did I say? An A result for the Bs would be 2 in-flight reduced. So he's gotten reduced. And then the C result is an L, which is a white loss. So they go to the white loss box and we gain, well, it's a -1 victory point for both of them. So that was a really good result, because we're getting both of them. None of them are moving into the bomber box. This one was an A result, which is a abort. So it goes to in-flight reduced. So he gets flipped as well, which is good. It takes him longer to come back. And these 2 go to the white loss box. I'll show you where that is. That's up on the top board up here. And we have one for 511, which is along here, and it's the white loss box, so it's that red box. And the one for 411. And the good thing is they don't come back until the end of the day when they get, and that's what they need, the replacement points to bring them back. And then not only that, we score, well, it's 2 negative victory points, so we're on 0, and we'll flip this over to the other side, to the German side, and we're on -2. So yeah, that's a really good start actually. Yeah, and we had no losses ourselves, so I don't think I missed anything there. Yeah, that's good. So that's all the combat results resolved. Yeah, and then now, well, let's just look back at the card, because I think it then just steps us on to the next card. Depending on the combat results, group and leave the raid or move to the close escort box. Well, none of our guys moved to the close escort. I think we need to get a no effect for them to move to close escort. So none of them happened, but some of them did leave the raid. A couple of them got reduced. And then squadrons leave the raid or they would move to the bomber box. And that's a bit we want to try and avoid. And we did. So no squadrons were able to move into the bomber box. So our fighters all took care of them. So excellent. So that's card 15 dealt with. So let's move on. Still in the raid phase. This is card 16. So now it's another event card. This time it's the target event card. So we'll go and get that. And again, so this is the bottom part now where it's got that yellow. It's in yellow. It says target event. So let's have a look at that. Okay, so the A means for all games, so that would include the Lion, the Eagle, and the 2-player game. So it's just one event for them all. So it says non-essential target, reduce bomb damage result by 1. Damage does not affect industry, airfield, or radar targets. VPs count. That's not good then, because we're attacking an airfield, aren't we? that's annoying. I'll tell you why in a minute. Let me just look at the event here. Non-essential target. German intelligence failures result in the raiders bombing a non-operational location or a facility not related to fighter command operations. If the raid target is an airfield, radar, net or industry, do not assess bomb damage. Reduce VPs recorded against the target by 1. Some versions of this event also prevent the assessment of bomb damage against headquarter targets. This is not one of them. It doesn't mention headquarters. So do not assess bomb damage. So what that means is normally if we did hit with some damage, we'd be able to disrupt some of the squadrons in that sector in some way, which kind of like slows the response down and whatever. It can move them from the map up to the top board somewhere, and it would take them longer to come back. Also, with it being an airfield, like I mentioned earlier, there's a chance of damage being done to the control room. So none of that's going to happen now. So, and not only that, we're going to reduce the damage that we do by 1. So it's going to be 1 less victory point, basically. But we still roll the dice to get the victory points, so there is that. But, yeah, that's not a good event. And just for the bit down the bottom there, I think is only to do with the line. Well, yeah, it's got an L on it, so it's only for the line game, so I've no idea what that does. So I've not played that yet. So, yeah, not a good event there for us. However, right, so that's card 16 dealt with. On to 17. Right, and this one we can probably just skip on by. Squadron Interception. So, basically says if squadrons are greater than or equal to grouping in the bomber box or less than the bomber box, it just depends on how many intercept. Well, we don't have any squadrons in the bomber box, so we can move on to the bottom one, really, which says if no squadrons in the bomber box, we move all grouping in the close escort box to the bomber box. They become strafers. So that is good in a way, although we're having the reduction to our damage. So all these ME-110s that were in the close escort box come down to the bomber box. So yeah, that was a good, but I think the damage has been done with that event, I think. That's card 17. So on to 18. Which we can skip on by because this is Squadron Attack. Add the combat ratings of all squadrons and intercepted grouping in the bomber box. So there's no squadrons in the bomber box because we managed to avoid letting any of them through. So we skip that card and then we move on to Bombardment. So conduct a bombardment of the raid's target with all grouping remaining in the bomber box. Refer to the bombing table. If the target is damaged, implement the effects and subtract victory points. Well, that part of things is going to... We're still going to get the victory points. My guess, yeah, the way I was reading that event, I maybe should have kept the card out. Reduce bomb damage result by 1. Damage does not affect industry, airfield, or radar targets. Yeah. So, and then it says after that, all grouping in the raid display move to the in-flight box after the target is bombed. Okay, so, well, while we're here, let's just count up the number of the damage we've got. Because we've got now the strafers. Is it again? In fact, no, it's over in the chart here. That's fine. Just let me check it. It says strafing penalty. When strafing radar, city, headquarters or military bases. Well, it's not. It's an airfield with strafing. But if it was one of the 4, ME-110s half their bombing strength, rounded up, and ME-109s would contribute no strength. But it's not one of them, so they will be contribute their whole strength. So we've got 5, 10, 18, 20, 22, we've got 24 strength. So let's move along here. Right, okay, so 24 strength, and we'll just roll the dice again. This is one where a higher number is better for us. So we get a 4. And what did I say our strength was? 24 was it? 5, 10. Yeah, 24. So we're right along here. And we've got a 4. So this is the column we'd use. However, we get some shifts here. So we've got column shift, no bombers were intercepted. If no squadrons were in the bomber box at any time during this raid, shift 2 columns to the right. Well, that is the case. Dive bombing bonus, if all bomber grouping are JU-87s and the target is not raid on it, shift 2 columns to the right. Well, no, that's not the case. Then we've got, if patchy clouds, shift 1 column to the left, and if broken clouds, shift 2 columns to the left. And then you've got that strafing penalty, which I just read out, but that's not relevant. But we have got broken clouds, so we're shifting 2 columns to the left. So I'm assuming they can just what's the word? You just add them together. I can't think of the word that I'm trying to find there. Cumulative. There we go. That's it. So we've got a 2 to the left, but we've also got a 2 to the right for the bombers being intercepted and they didn't appear in the bomber box. So that's going to stay exactly where it is. And you can see that 4 is the number that we rolled, so it's going to be this row here. So we do actually have as a really good result. We end up with an H result. So, and then here's an explanation of the results down here. So a wee dash would mean no damage. 1 damage point, we subtract 1 victory point. 2 damage points, subtract 2 victory points. H, heavy damage, which is 3 damage points and subtract 3 victory points. However, this event that we had does say that we reduce the bomb damage result by 1. Damage does not affect industry, radar, or airfield. So the H being a 3 damage would knock it down to a 2 damage. So, and then it goes on to describe what happens if you hit an airfield. And this is what we would have got if it hadn't been for that event. We would have been able to, not only that, we would be rolling to try and, because we had the H result. Yeah, I said it was a 6 you needed. It's not necessarily a 6, the first roll. All you need to do is get an H result. And then if you roll again, if you happen to get that 6, it talks about it further down, I think. Yeah, if an airfield incurs 6 points, place a light damage marker to indicate the sector control room is damaged. But because of that event, we're not getting any of that. And the good bit to all that was we would roll dice again and be able, like I say, maybe move some of the aircraft out of their sector. So yeah, that was a bit of a mummer. However, it was another 2 hits, not the 3, because we reduced it by 1. So we are up to -4. So I think that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that after the first raid. Yeah, it is a pity about that, because what would have happened? We are raiding sector 511, which is here, mind you. There's only a Blenheim in there, and there's nothing else up in the tote board, is there? Yeah, in actual fact, it might not have done anything extra anyway then. I might be wrong, but we'll definitely see that further in the game. Okay, so moving back to where we're at. So that's us finished with Bombardment. Like I say, we don't get that extra bit, but you know. So card 20 is German Recovery. It says move all grouping in the in-flight box to their air bases or to the clock per the German recovery schedule in the in-flight box. So it's just down here, and unfortunately not got it covered. So shows you here, you move grouping from the in-flight box as follows. So the bombers, if there was any bombers in here, they would, well actually, hang on, we've missed a part, haven't we? We've missed this bit at the bottom. It says all grouping in the raid display move to the in-flight box after the target is bombed. Yeah, so I've kind of missed that, so give me a second. Right, now this has covered everything up, right? I'll just move the bombers out of the way, but they're all in this box. I'll move these British fighters as well, just to let you read it there. So, bombers to air bases full. So these guys just go back to their air bases. So that's a Dorney 17, another Dorney, and they go up and they're full side up. I think I watched somebody playing the game where they were reducing them, but you know, you can't bring them out of their boxes now anyway until you get on to the next day to raid, because you've selected all your bombers for the day. So I don't see the point in reducing them, because they can't come out again. So, and then the next part is full fighters to the clock +3. Well, we only ended up with 2 reduced fighters, so that's good. So there are 2 reduced fighters. So all these go on to the clock space. 3 clock spaces ahead. Yeah, so there's all the ones that were full. They go 1, 2, 3 spaces ahead, so they're going to be able to be usable again for the 12 o'clock time. And that's where I was getting up by the fact that my next 2 raids I've not assigned fighters to, starting the 12 o'clock time. So we'll get the opportunity to use all the fighters. They'll all be ready to come back. And saying that, I have just realised that I'm going to have to assign them between 12 and 1400, don't I? Is that right? Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, well, you know what, we'll see when that comes. And we had 2 reduced fighters, and the last part is reduced fighters go to the clock +4 spaces ahead, but you flip them back to full. So these 2 guys that were reduced, they go 1 extra time slot ahead, but they come full strength again. So it just means it's going to take them 1 step longer to come back. And yeah, that's that. Okay, so that's German Recovery. I just want to keep reminding myself about to look at these advanced rules. Yeah, some wee reminder somewhere would be useful for me, I think. I'll check on BGG just in case somebody's come up with something. And if not, maybe just write a wee note with where the steps are that I need to consider. Okay, so this is the last card of the raid phase, and it's a clock check. So we flip the target card for the raid just completed. So this gets flipped over to this other side, and then we just put that back up there where it was. That's just to say that raid's been completed. And then if there are any face-up target cards remaining in the current time segment, return to step 9 and conduct another raid. Well, there isn't, because we only had 1 for each time slot, so our next time slot is 0800, so that's not the case. So if there are no such face-up target cards, discard all the face-down target cards. Well, I don't think there's any need to do that, so I'll just leave the card up there. I mean, it should be discarded, so I've not really seen an issue with why that needs to happen. Although I do have a wee space for a discard pile here, so I suppose I could put it in there. Anyway, we'll just leave it up there just now. If we find out that there's a reason for that, then we can adjust it. And then advance the clock marker to the next clock space for which you have raids planned. And you would skip clock spaces without planned raids. Okay, so up on the clock, we move the clock time. The next raid we've got is 0800, so we move the clock timer into there. And that's that, resolved. And then if you have no more planned raids, move clock marker to end of day space. That's not the case. And then if the clock marker moved to a clock space, go to step 22. So this is step 21 we're on just now. And then the last step was if the clock marker moved to the end of day space, you go ahead to step 25 and resolve the night raids. But we're not at that, so we did move one clock space. So we'll move on to step 22. And this is moving into the Allied Operations phase. And step 22 is Squadron Turnaround. And it actually has a wee chart just above there, Squadron Turnaround Summary, which is just the same as what he's got on the card here. So it says adjust positions of all squadrons based on number of clock spaces you just advance the clock marker. Well, we moved it one space, so we're just going to be using this box here. So any units in the rearm box would move back to the map. And this is on the total board up there, right? So I won't go right up there, but you can see there's nothing in the rearm boxes up there, right? And then it says anything in the land boxes would go to the rearm box. So if there was anything in here, it would move up to here, but there's nothing in there either. And then the third one is looking at full squadrons in the in-flight box. I'll just show you the card there again. So there we go, rearm box to the map, landing box to the rearm box, full squadrons from the in-flight box to the rearm box, and then reduced squadrons from the in-flight box to the landing box full side up. So we look down at the in-flight box, we see we've got two Hurricanes and a Spitfire. They're all reduced, so they're going to be flipped to their full side, but however they're going to go in the land box, so it's going to take them longer to recover. So I flip them back to full, but they go in the land box. So this is 611, the Spitfire. So it goes in there. And I've got a 511 Hurricane. Goes in the land box. And then a 311 Hurricane in the land box. So you can see that next time, as long as we just move the clock one space, these guys are just going to move to the rearm box first. And then it'll take them another clock space before they then get back out onto the map. So, and the more stuff we've got up here, the better, the less we've got out on the map here. So, the better it is for us. Okay, so that's step 22, Squadron Turnaround, dealt with. I think this next one might just take us right back. Well, there's nothing to do here. You can see the banding of the cars is getting worse. I'll try and maybe make a better job of that. I could do a new printer, to be honest. That's probably the major thing I could do with, but I'm pretty sure I could. I think it's functional. So yeah, sorry to Stuka Joe though for making his cards look rather shoddy. Move all German fighters grouping now in the current clock space and all earlier clock spaces to their air bases full side up. Well, this is when you would get to move these fighters, but we're in the 0800 space and there's no fighters in there. But this is the step. Once we got round to 1200 hours, we would then get these fighters back out into their air bases. And they'd be good to go for the next step, which is, I think, what we're going to look at next, where you're going to assign the fighters. So, step 23 done, step 24. Yeah, this is the last part before we then bounce back. So, it says assign fighter grouping Now, this is a bit that can maybe catch you out a little bit. Assign fighter grouping to raids planned for the current time segment. So the current time segment is 0800, right? By moving the grouping from their air bases to target cards. However, you do not assign fighters for a time segment in which you have already had an opportunity to do so. And I think the word opportunity there has got to be looked at and remembered. And then it says return to step 9, raid selection and deployment, and conduct another raid. So basically that's us at the end. And what I mean by that opportunity, we have had the opportunity to place fighters in the 0600, the 0800 and the 1000. So even if we had fighters available, we could not place them in any of them. When it comes to the 1200 time slot, we will then have the opportunity to place fighters on here. Yeah, and this is where it's going to catch me out a little bit, because I'm going to have to assign my fighters to here and the next time slot, which is the 1400 time slot. So, and I'm only going to have that big stack. I mean, yeah, it's pretty good, but although we left an ME109 behind as well, so we do have one extra in the box. So yeah, that should probably work out alright then. But it does just show you, and that's maybe why, if I'd spaced this out and maybe left a gap here, not had this raid at 1400, and I'd put it like this and went 1600, then when it come to assigning fighters to this card, I would be assigning them to that, then I'd be looking at the next time slot and not having any fighters to assign, obviously. Then it would bounce on another clock space, and then once I got to 1600, I would probably have some more fighters back by that time. But the time that you benefit from that, it means that the British also benefit by getting their units back on the map. So that's the downside. There's a good and a bad to it, which balances out nicely. So that's it. That's us done a full raid, and now we just take this card back, and we go back to step 9. So I just turn all these cards back over, and then we carry on. We move back to step 9, and that's just choosing a target card from the current time segment, and then we cycle through that again. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, it was pretty good. That almost went perfect actually. If it hadn't been for the, well, like I was saying to you, I don't think there was anything I could have delayed with the airfield thing, because there was nothing in Sector 511, which is what the airfield that we targeted. So, but we've got -4 points. So, assuming I've done everything right anyway, we shall see. Right, I'm going to cut that now, guys. So that's went up quite a bit, but hopefully, as you can see, I can streamline it a bit more. I'll try and not go through all these steps again. We'll just look at the card and we'll jump to it rather than me showing you everything, and it'll get a bit quicker as things go. So I'll try and get this video up, and well, the first one as well, so hopefully get them up before I do any more, because it is possible that I might be missing some things and making blunders here and there. Anyway, we shall see. Okay, I'll be back soon. Cheers.